Hey guys, it's Dr. Mike Ming. Welcome to another edition of BootstrapMD. This is the podcast for healthcare and physician entrepreneurs. And as we mentioned, we're going to be covering a series of books over this time period of how they affected my life and career, and more importantly for you, how its principles and implications can affect physician entrepreneurs. Now, this book is called How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. It came out in 2006. And who is Felix Dennis? Well, he since passed away. By the time he was one of British's wealthiest self-made entrepreneurs. The book is a biography, but in actual fact, it's more of a guide. He tells his journey from being a penniless magazine publisher to acquiring a fortune estimated at several hundred million pounds. It was well received when it came out. It got a lot of attention. The author is very blunt, very candid. He didn't gloss over parts of his life that weren't as bright and shiny. And, when self-help books came out, unlike most, it didn't give you these vague promises or giving these overly optimistic visions of success. It was pretty brutally honest. He didn't shy away from kind of his trials, his pitfalls, sacrifices that he's made in his life to accumulate wealth. Certainly, it's got a title that did garner attention. Pretty audacious, How to Get Rich. But every now and then it comes up on the bestsellers, and they found this gem from entrepreneurs who are ready to live the life that they want and start up their own business. So the book covers some key lessons, principles that contributed to his success, and he believed that anybody with determination and honesty can become rich if they generally desire to be. But unlike the title, again, it's more of a how-to guide, how he did, and that's what I appreciated. So if you don't know the name Felix Dennis and the magazines, a very popular magazine here in the States was called Maxim Magazine. So he was responsible for that and several high-profile publications. So let's go over the book, How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis, and how it can affect you, the physician entrepreneur. So one of the first principles he talks about is basically anybody can get rich. He came from a poor background. He was selling magazines as a street vendor, and that started his ascension to becoming wealthy. And he believed that anybody who has self-belief and determination can become wealthy as well. It didn't really matter if you had a high education or not. One part of the book that we've talked about in the past that what we refer to as the golden handcuffs, where we're making a regular paycheck, albeit a higher paycheck than other careers. He attributes it to almost like having a regular paycheck is like crack cocaine, and that you once you have it, it kind of dulls your chances of taking risk. And for you to become wealthy, for Mr. Dennis, is that you need to become an owner. You need to become your own boss. Other aspects of money is that it doesn't discriminate based upon your race, based upon your background, based upon your circumstances. Don't let prejudice or bigotry hold you back. He believes that the younger you start, the better you're going to have a chance to move forward and more chance of willingness to take risks. And harnessing that kind of fear of failure, as we talked about in Tim Ferriss's book, you can use that as motivation. So what are its implications for physician entrepreneurs? Well, one thing is that, it doesn't really matter what type of medical background you have, and he doesn't consider it a constraint, but that could be a foundation. It can lead you into other businesses that perhaps you couldn't get into, whether you're establishing a practice, developing solutions in the health industry, in the tech industry. There's lots of opportunities that can be seized from that. With the right mindset and strategies, it can really open a vast world for you. Another principle he discusses is cutting your losses. We've all heard this before, but it's not just advice. For Felix, it was a strategy. He talks about how in his book, he had to shut down underperforming magazine titles, and emphasizing that prolonging failure. We know that the prolonging failure is just kind of a drain on resources, and we might have endeavors as doctors and entrepreneurs that don't pan out. And instead of keep banging your head against the wall, which is we've talked about is the definition of insanity, maybe that's something where, you put it on the back burner or, give up on it. And certainly we've talked about sunk cost and how we get affected by it, but we only have one life to live. And, if a prototype for some type of medical device just isn't resonating in the market, or perhaps you've got challenges that you didn't foresee, maybe it's time to reevaluate, learn, pivot, move forward. And that also involves just having a stronger mindset in terms of having a mental armor and having the ability to, when you have failure, to publicly acknowledge and learn from it. The fear of failing is, per Felix Dennis, is a major obstacle to getting to your financial goals and amassing wealth, if that's what you choose to do. So embrace risks and be willing to live with uncertainty. And if things just aren't working out for you, it's time to move on.
As a doctor, I wasn't used to asking for help, especially when it came to subjects outside of medicine. But then I found physiciancoaches.com. In an instant, I found hundreds of experts to help me in all aspects of life. On areas I was afraid to ask. Dealing with burnout, starting a side gig, money management, even help with my marriage. And the best part? Nearly all experts are physicians themselves. After reading their profile and a quick chat, I knew I found the right mentor for me. At physiciancoaches.com, help from professional colleagues is just a click away.
Now, this principle really affected me, and when that was the importance of ownership, the importance of ownership or owning revenue-generating assets, which we've talked about many times on this program. So his beliefs, his strongest belief in the book, that after you read it, is that the power of being an owner. He diligently owned rights to all of his content. He held majority stakes. He didn't give out shares of his company. He did his best to own 100%. Now, as I'm covering this, I don't agree with everything that he mentions, but he did understand that if you truly want to become wealthy, you have to own your innovations, you have to own your practices. And it's not about just having 100% of the profits, it's about having control. It's having control of the directions of your ventures. So he says ownership is crucial. To become rich, it's essential to be an owner. Every single percentage of ownership is crucial and worth fighting for. Now, if you're opening a public company, it may not be possible to own 100%. And he says to take in those arrows, you may be hated, but that's one of the things, that's one of the drawbacks of becoming wealthy. And then again, that is something that you'll see in this book, that for someone to be as rich as he has had to make many sacrifices that didn't make many friends when he did it. I believe in the book he covers one aspect. It was similar to the character Gollum in The Lord of the Rings, when he said about his my precious the ring. You have to treat ownership like that obsessive and compulsive way to do it, and that to beware you're going to have competitors who are going to take that away from you. So how it applied in my life when I starting a business is that if I saw intrusions on it and obstacles, it was like basically for me, you're taking money away from my kids, and that's the way that I needed to have that obsessiveness, with becoming an owner and allow it to grow. May not be considered healthy, but that's one of the things that I learned. So he always valued ownership, always important on retaining rights. And as a physician, as an entrepreneur, let's say you're creating a device, you can want to ensure that you have the maximum benefits and ownership and being able to maintain control. Another principle that I think can be applied to physician entrepreneurs from the book, How to Get Rich, is the power of simplicity, that the best ideas are usually the simplest. His industry he was in was magazines for the most part. He had other ventures, but that's what he was well known for. And it involved really straightforward concepts about filling existing gaps in the market. And it's really important that, it doesn't necessarily you need to have the greatest idea in the world. You don't have to have the next Uber. You can just find out that what other people are doing and just maybe do it better. He says having an original idea does not guarantee success. It's the execution of that idea is going to determine the success and failure of your business enterprise. So you can have success by executing other great ideas, but you don't need to have groundbreaking ideas. So how does that apply to us? I think we tend to overcomplicate things. I know, for example, in my practice, we've got lots of different services. But if you identify, the 20% of the services that make 80% of the revenue, you're going to be much farther ahead. Also, in expanding on that simplicity, it's also understanding that if you have just one idea, you're going to be at a disadvantage to an entrepreneur that has multiple baskets of bringing in revenue. We talked about having multiple businesses. He points to Richard Branson owns just a part of many different businesses, and having multiple ventures led Richard Branson becoming a billionaire. So understanding that you're going to have better chances of success if you have more baskets, and also understanding that once you have an idea, what can you do to grow and scale it, and that once it's working, do whatever you can to make that to continue to work. So as an entrepreneur, the simplest ideas are usually the best, and they were going to be more successful. Another important principle I got from the book is the inevitability of mistakes. It's going to happen. And it's what you do for the mistakes and your ability to learn from mistakes is really going to propel you forward. He talked about one word you hear time and time again is luck. And some people don't like these. And he admits that he was lucky. And that turned some people off about the book. But he does say that, the more opportunities that are out there, somehow you become luckier. The more times you practice and work on your business, the luckier you get. Fortune favors not only the brave, but also the bold, right? We've heard this, right? And that there are opportunities every day. What are your opportunities to actually seize it? Not just research it, but to execute on plans. And he was very candid about his missteps in his business, both personally and professionally. Again, mistakes are inevitable. They're going to happen. We're only human, but they're invaluable in learning from experience. So for physician entrepreneurs, you may have a partnership, maybe something in a product doesn't work, and it's just help you one step closer to success, as Thomas Edison once said. So take those traps, take those mistakes, take those errors, and learn from it, and you're going to become a better entrepreneur. Another important aspect that from the book that I learned is just becoming detailed oriented. He was very involved in negotiations. Don't get me wrong, he delegated quite a bit and talked about the power of delegation. In the book, he would have managers who ran his businesses and his companies, but for the big decisions such as mergers, such as launching a new magazine, such as an important hire for someone higher up in his company, he was intricately involved. Yeah, he talks about the understanding about negotiations, and winners and losers emerge from negotiations, and the importance of listening is crucial during negotiations, and not just blurting things out, but silence can be very effective as well. So just like in your own business as a physician in your own practice, it's important that you have important roles as you're paid to delegate. You can't do everything by yourself, but for those important decisions, you should be intricately involved. He feels that, like, for example, landlords in real estate that are absentees don't prosper. It's personal involvement that is necessary for success. Going along with it, another important principle I learned from the book, How to Get Rich, is hire talent smarter than you. So talent identification and is hiring. We've talked about once you have talent, you do everything you can to nurture them and keep them, because talented individuals, are what going to make or break your business. And it's not necessarily just paying them the most money. It's giving them opportunities to grow in your business. If you have talented individuals in your business, give them opportunities to shine. Dream up new projects. For example, in our company, we had hired an RN, but she was really great at interior design. So we helped her and really had her take control of designing our new practice and decorating. And she loved it. So provide incentives, provide benefits so you can retain those talents. Do whatever you can to protect them, and really just surround yourself with expertise. So obviously the lesson for physician entrepreneurs is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you hire people. Let's say if you're a software, you're creating a software, a medical software, you don't necessarily need to understand how to code, but you need to understand that the software is only as good as the designers and coders of that software. So it's important you're able to attract talent. Don't go cheap on these things, because it'll really bite you in the butt by kind of skimping on those aspects. There's other aspects of your business that you can, watch your pennies, but something as integral as that is really important for the long-term success of your business. Another important principle that I learned from the book, How to Get Rich, and it kind of sounds counterintuitive with a title like that, but there's more to life than just money. And he talks about having motivation. Why are you actually building this business? What are you actually doing it for? It should be for a deeper purpose. If you're in medicine and in your business, it should be involved in improving patient outcomes, pioneering new treatments, improving on outdated and antiquated solutions in the healthcare industry. That should be your driving force. And like I said, I'm sure the title How to Get Rich was kind of clickbaity, but it probably, once they read it, they learned, hey, this is how he's approaching it. He spoke about his own passion projects that gave him contentment. Although wealth was important to him and what he wanted, his true joys were these passion projects. And in another vein, he treated wealth accumulation, getting rich, like a game. He says you should treat this as a game. But shouldn't be your sole focus in life. And treating it as a game can often shield you from those downs that we talk about in entrepreneurship, those failures that can occur, and realizing, okay, this is kind of like a game of Monopoly. I might, go bankrupt, but I can or I might be in jail, but maybe I'll get that get out of jail free card. But you know what I'm saying here. It's the importance of finding what is your deeper meaning, what is your primary drive. That at the end is what's going to propel your business to success or failure. He talks about in the book the need for respite, the ability to, there were times in the book where you feel like he regret some things, like he regretted, like to get to the position that he was in wealth, he sacrificed a lot of things. He sacrificed friends. He was all encompassing, he was all driven to grow his empire. And he recognizes that it's important that you take breaks, having retreats, be able to meditate, to have rejuvenate yourself, during those down times, and it's essential, or you're going to burn out. Again, pretty obvious what that means for us as physician entrepreneurs, having the time. And this is something that I struggle with, to turn off that computer at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or even 8 p.m. But taking away yourself with business, spending time with family, and creativity. I mentioned, I was traveling a lot when I had my software company. I was traveling overseas a lot. And, my wife said, I thought you got into this business so you could spend more time with the family. And yeah, that really opened my eyes. I was like, yeah, why am I going to Perth, or why am I going to Sydney, every other week? And so having important time where you can just rejuvenate and find out, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, your well-being to avoid so essential. And then finally, he talks about safeguarding your wealth. He felt that attaining money is easy, but keeping it is the hard part. And that, take emotion away from money, and to importance that how big fear can really drive our actions or inactions. The importance of negative influences, loaning out money to family and friends was something that he had mentioned. You can give away money. He believed that there was karma, that the faster you give away money, the more that it's going to come back to you. But he said when loaning, it can cause relationship issues. If you're going to loan it out, don't expect anything in return. I've had a situation like that. And I just said, I'm going to probably loan this out, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get it back. But that was just kind of part of it. And it's important, of course, you be educated in holding your money. You want to have the best attorneys, tax advisors, accountants, estate managers, business advisors. Surround yourself with those people. Have great accounting systems. Keeping your eye on the ball in terms of your metrics and your KPIs, your key performance indicators in your business. Have talented people around you, like they said, is very important. And again, lesson for physician entrepreneurs is not about just accumulating it, but also preserving your wealth. And he made very sure that he was productive in financial planning, ensured that his assets were diversified. And so those are some principles that I learned from the book, How to Get Rich, and how it can apply to physician entrepreneurs. Like I said, there's aspects of the book that I didn't agree with. I took it for what it is. It was a biography and it was a guide, but those were some principles that shaped me and my career. So I encourage you to check out the book wherever you get books, probably Amazon. Check it out. I think you'll enjoy it as much as I did. And more importantly, you'll take some lessons from the book and help you execute your business. Remember, life gives you ups and downs as an entrepreneurship, but if you can learn a nugget from a book, take some principle from that and to allow you to execute in your business, those are the things that are really going to help you keep your eye on the prize and keep moving forward.